Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel for the Bravo Breakdown with Joleen, your favorite source of commentary and comedy on all things Bravo television. Make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Today we're going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and some information Kyle recently spilled on Teddy's podcast. So let's get started.
Bravo, bravo, and bravo.
If you watched my previous video on this, I talked about how Kyle was on Teddy and Tamra Judge's podcast, Two Teas in a Pod. Kyle opened up a lot, so I recommend you listen to the entire podcast on iTunes and everywhere else you find podcasts. It's good to be able to hear that because I feel like a lot of times Kyle is not speaking because she says that she fears speaking out against her sister Kathy. But in this podcast, she's definitely speaking out. And she's basically saying she did not have Kathy's back. She did not stick up for Kathy when Lisa, Rinna, and Erica were calling her out and saying that she said this, that, and the other thing during their trip to Aspen because she didn't want to. She feels as though she's been mistreated by Kathy. Her family's been mistreated regarding the things that Rinna said, that Kathy said about taking Kyle's family down. Kyle was like, why would I? Why would I have her back? But I think what Kyle's missing is a lot of fans want to know why even before then didn't you have Kathy's back or Kim's back when we're watching the show. Again, we understand that the Richards sisters dynamic is something that is complex. We don't know the whole story for any of the sisters, but we do know that it tends to be a dysfunctional relationship, and these sisters go long periods of time without talking to one another. And according to Kyle, this only started happening once their mother passed away. So they've had lots of issues in the past regarding their relationship, and on this show it seems to only masturbated. I don't know if I said the right word.
Oh God. Okay, great. Thank you.
But it seemed to only have made everything worse for them. But Kyle being on Teddy's podcast and just straight out saying, I didn't want to help Kathy, is more information than we got from her in all three parts of the reunion. And we knew it. If you watch the show, you get the feeling that Kyle has a lot of resentment towards Kathy and Kathy has a lot of resentment towards Kyle. So it makes a lot of sense then why Kyle didn't have Kathy's back and why Kathy is upset with Kyle for continually not having her back in these situations. I still don't fully understand why you would trust Rinna or Erica over your sister, but I think it's just one of those cases where Kyle wanted them to take down Kathy. What surprises me the most is that Kathy is saying she did not say these horrible things that Rinna is claiming she said in Aspen, like the homophobic slur that Erica said that she said. And according to Kyle in this interview, apparently there's more things that Rinna could have shared that Kathy allegedly said, but she didn't. And is that due to the cease and desist that was sent out? Is that due to the fact that Bravo didn't want her to? Is that due to the fact that the claims were so outlandish? Why didn't we ever see Rinna's files that she brought in? Apparently Andy and Bravo didn't deem them worthy of making airtime. But what gets me is Kyle did not come to Kathy's defense when Rinna and Eric are claiming that Kathy said a homophobic slur. And the craziest part of it all is it's become a big storyline, but the only housewife we've actually heard say a homophobic slur this season is Erika Jayne when she was retelling this alleged story that Kathy Hilton walked up to Erika Jayne and called a guy who works at the club, either the DJ or the manager of the club, a homophobic slur, being the F word. And most people would say the F word, but Erika Jayne was very comfortable in saying the word full out. And that in 2022 is something you don't really hear people doing unless that's part of the vocabulary.
That's weird. That's suspicious.
I said, Kathy, what's wrong? She says the DJ's an old and walked off.
If that was my brother or sister and I knew them to be people who did not do that, the first thing I would do was say, they would not say that. I have never in my life heard them say that. So that begs the question, is Kyle just out to get Kathy, Or has Kyle heard Kathy use this kind of language before? And that's, again, things we can only speculate on because there's no audio or proof of any of these claims against Kathy Hilton, which is still shocking considering you're filming a reality show. And even Bolo and the Real Housewives of Atlanta, they've got a little bit, when the cameras went down, they still got some clips and they still got some good tea and they still got a little bit of audio. But this, no one pulled out their camera, no producers were around, Lisa Rinna didn't turn her phone on while Kathy Hilton is having a meltdown. This just sounds like something Lisa Rinna would do. She would definitely want to pull her phone out and record all of this if Kathy was in fact saying these horrible things that hurt Rinna so much that it's the worst thing she's basically been through. And if Kathy was in fact scaring her and she threw her glasses on the ground and jumped up and down on them and then pounded on the walls like an angry monster, you would think Lisa Rinna would pull her phone out and hit record. That is what people do in 2022. People do it for less, and you're on a reality show, and this could prove your storyline. Where was your phone, Lisa Rinna? Well, let's take a listen at some of what Kyle had to say during this interview on Two Teas in a Pod.
Okay, so a couple of things I feel like I should say. A lot of people have said, like, the main thing I hear is, well, why didn't you defend your sister? When you are hurt by somebody, like, you know, it's not always so cut and dry. You know, I'm not subscribing to the idea that you stick with family no matter what. Because sometimes when you're treated really poorly, you have to take a step back, regardless of whether, you know, it's blood or not.
Wait a minute. Wait a damn minute.
And, you know, you have to have boundaries. And if you don't know the whole story, you can't know why I wasn't jumping in and defending, you know, not defending. So, you know, there's a lot of people who have messaged me saying, I understand this dynamic. I understand that sometimes with family, even though it's your blood, you know, that you don't, it's not no matter what. Your blood, you get to treat me however you want because we're blood, and I'm going to have to take that because we're blood, and I'm going to stick by you no matter what because we're blood. You know, if you're mistreated, you're mistreated. And I, you know, that's how I feel. And I was just at that point, you know, really, really upset. And, you know, hearing the things I was hearing, and obviously defensive of, you know, my family, meaning my husband and my children. And, you know, I didn't want to.
You know, I didn't want to.
But I just didn't want to. I was like, why would I?
Do you remember those words?
When I'm hearing this and she's saying I did, and, you know, I was happy that she apologized. I accepted it, you know, albeit I was on camera. I was like, okay. I think some people thought I asked for it on camera because people were like, why'd you?
Well, yeah, because she kept saying you wanted it on camera.
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah.
She wanted to, okay. I mean.
Yeah, you have to clear that up.
Yeah, I mean, oh, but by the way, another thing quickly is that, you know, Kathy said at the reunion, you made me apologize to Rinna. And then they flashed back to me saying she's coming if you want to. And she said, right. I want to apologize to her. So I was like, there again, then I was blamed for her apologizing to Rinna because it didn't go the way she wanted.
Yes, Kyle, I'm sure Kathy just thought she could apologize and we would move on, which is what Rinna expects everyone to do when she apologizes and quote-unquote owns it. However, Lisa Rinna doesn't accept an apology. She drags it out and she makes everybody keep apologizing, just like what she did to Sutton over the ticket, where she just kept bringing it up and wouldn't let it go and kept saying, I need to know that you know what you did was wrong, over and over and over again, and she just doesn't let it go. So I'm sure Kathy didn't appreciate that, and the fact that she's sitting there with her sister and she really probably didn't even want to be apologizing to Rinna in the first place and thought it would go a little bit better and maybe you would just say, okay, well, my sister apologized, time to leave. But unfortunately that didn't happen, and then there was this awkward goodbye where Kathy was just standing in your doorway looking in the window like freaking Michael Myers.
Not today, Nick.
As for Tequilagate, during this interview with Teddy, Kyle said she was very supportive of Kathy Hilton promoting her tequila. She thought she did so at her own home in Aspen, but didn't know that it was expected as well at Kamikaze. No, that's not what the name was.
So when it comes to the Kimosabi,
hummus, whatever.
That is my tequila, so I would really appreciate it if you'd like pour it here
Okay.
so people can
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
I don't like to have to do that myself, but I guess if I don't, nobody else does.
She assumed that you were going to set something up for her, and I didn't hear you say anything back. Like, how would I have known I was setting something up for your tequila? Like, what?
Okay, well, I actually, not everything gets used in the reunion, as you know.
Right.
But let me just clarify. So my sister had said to me right before Aspen, because she was bringing the tequila on camera throughout the season, but she never mentioned the tequila to me until I didn't really know. You're filming, there's cameras, you're doing stuff. You're not really, sometimes I see people walk in with a champagne bottle or a candle. You're not really a hostess gift, whatever. I wasn't really thinking about it. And then before Aspen, she said, we invested in this tequila company. Do you care if I bring it to Aspen? And I said, not at all. Send it to my house. And we'll make drinks with it. I'll put it out, whatever. And that's exactly what we did. We have 1 million bottles at my house in Aspen. And so then that was it. So when she said I had planned the Kimosabi shopping event months in advance. I've been trying to do this Aspen trip with production for a long time. We booked Kimosabi, that private room, yada, yada, yada. So after, we had the tequila at my house, that was that. So at the Kimosabi event, I didn't even know the tequila was there. I didn't even know it was on the bar. I knew nothing. So when she said at the reunion, I thought it was going to be an event for me and my tequila, I was like,
So there was no discussion. There was no discussion.
Nothing. Zero, zilch, nothing. So I literally was speechless because I was like, why would you think the shopping event that was, that would be a thing for your tequila? Like, it didn't make any sense. And by the way, if she had said to me, I'm going to, can we do something with my tequila at the event? I would have been happy to do that. Of course you would. I would have been happy to do that. But it was never said to me. I didn't know it was there. And then, in the scene, she says, Kyle did nothing to stop Rinna. If you look back at that scene, if you guys have recorded this and you can go back, when Rinna is ordering the tequila, I didn't even hear her. I lined my dog's leash up so she wouldn't run around Kimosabi. I was like bending down. I didn't know any of this. I didn't even hear or know that.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I saw that, I was like, how does she expect me to know this? And then once, even if she had said to me, by the way, she just went, what am I supposed to do? Go over and say, you don't do that. Take that back. Like, I didn't know what to do.
Also, it's all over the internet that 818 was brought in through like a rush.
Sure, it was not the case. That for sure is not the case. That was not brought in to make a problem. It was, we go there a lot, as you know, and they have lots of tequilas there.
Nope, I do not drink the Paloma.
In front of me here right now, and Kyle doesn't do it.
My margarita, thank you.
I mean,
it feels like I can do no right.
Yeah.
Is the problem. And, there's a lot of history there, and it's really hard, and sometimes I'm quiet because it's easier for me in my life not to address these things because I don't want to make things more complicated for me and my family. So if you wonder why sometimes I'm not speaking up, it's because what I'm going to say or what I could say will make things more complicated for me. So I'd rather just basically put my hands behind my back and take it on the chin and deal with it because it's not worth it for me.
So there you have it, more exclusive tea from Kyle's interview with Teddy. To listen to the entire interview, go to 2 T's in a Pod. Happy Halloween, everyone. Please let me know all your comments in the chat as we continue to dissect this whole Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 12. It just feels incomplete, and I think that's why we're all still talking about it. It was messy, it was incomplete, it was triggering for a lot of people, and it just didn't wrap itself up like we like a Housewives season to do. Again, hit that subscribe, hit that like. It helps me so much in the algorithm as I pop out more Bravo content. Thank you guys for watching and have a wonderful, spooky Halloween. Bye.
I get it. You're preaching to the choir.
If you like what you